Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, the show where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I am your host, Preston Proctor. Okay, so we are in the playoffs. The playoffs started on Saturday. It's Monday, and two of the matchups haven't started yet. The Kings playing Edmonton is tonight, as is the Dallas Stars versus the Vegas Golden Knights. They play tonight. Everybody else has played, and some of the other teams that played on Saturday are already playing again tonight. So that's great. Only skipping a day. The playoffs should go quickly that way. Hopefully not too quickly, especially given how the Preds played last night. Hopefully it lasts a little bit longer. A quick update. Last playoff, or my initial playoff preview, I apparently forgot to unmute my track when I bounced it and then uploaded it. I have rectified that mistake, and hopefully it has been pushed out. And if you are listening to the playoff update and you're not hearing me, or you were listening to it, that should be changed now. You should be able to go back and listen to that. Sorry about that. Rookie mistake. Anyway, the playoff update. Again, there's going to be no reordering at the end of this. The format is 2 games at home for the top seed, then 2 games at home for the lower seed, and then they alternate 1 game, 1 game, 1 game, with the higher seed getting 4 games, alternating being at the higher seed and the lower seed. Again, there's not going to be any reordering. They have the playoff bracket set, and that's how it's going to roll. In the Eastern Conference, the Rangers did beat Washington. They are up 1-0. Florida is up 1-0. Carolina is up 1-0. Boston is up 1-0. So all of the top seeds won their games in the Eastern Conference, and so far that trend is holding in the Western Conference. Vancouver and Winnipeg both won theirs. The Rangers did win 4-1. I don't remember exactly what I said on the podcast. I know I'm picking the Rangers either 5 or 6. They won their first game 4-1. The Panthers won their first game 5-1. I'm picking Florida in 7. The Hurricanes beat the Islanders 3-1 over the weekend. I am picking the Islanders in that one, not Carolina. And then I have the Bruins in 5, and the Bruins won 5-1 over the weekend. The Stars and the Knights play tonight. I am picking the Stars in either 5 or 6. And the Oilers Kings are also tonight. That was a tough one for me. I've got the Oilers in 6 or the Kings in 7. And the Jets won in game 1, 7-6. That Colorado Jets matchup was pretty lively. I am 7-6. I am picking the Jets to sweep, at least win in 5. And then the Predators lost to the Canucks last night 4-2. We'll dive a little bit more into that. Again, that one I'm, predicting the Canucks will win in 6 or the Preds will take it in 7. Interesting. The Preds' 6th game would be on Friday, May 3rd. And my niece is graduating on May 4th, so I'm not sure yet if I'm going to be able to make that game. We'll have to see. Anyway, what the Preds did. Well, Sunday night's game was the first time this season against Vancouver, where the Predators got the first goal, where they did not lose the second period. They tied it. The winning goal was scored in the third period. In the previous games, it was all in the second, which is interesting because when the Preds are on the road and the opponents win 65% of the time, the winning goal is scored in the second. So last night, they gave up a goal. They gave up the game-winning goal, not the last goal, but the game-winning goal, 12 seconds after they got the tying goal. I have a real problem with things like that. I'm sure everybody does. I really hate it when you give up goals that quickly. Now, in this case, a little bit different than a pet peeve of mine. Watching the Kings for so many years, it seemed like anytime they scored a goal, they would give up a goal within a minute of having scored the goal. That's not the case that happened last night. Last night, Vancouver got 3 in the third and 2 goals within 12 seconds. And then they got the empty netter. So it was 3-2 and, the empty net. So it was still a tight game, giving up 3 goals in the third, and the 2 goals within 12 seconds of each other. Kind of a backbreaker. Apparently last night it was anyway. Looking at the other games against the Vancouver, the Predators in all 4 games, 3 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs, have scored 2 goals in every game. Now they have lost every game they have played Vancouver this time. In the regular season, Vancouver scored 3. First time in Nashville, they scored 5 in Vancouver, and then they scored 5 again in Nashville the third time they played, and then last night they scored 4. Looking at some stats, previously the first period, the Preds were 1-1-1. So against Vancouver, they had won the first period once, tied it once, and lost it once. Well, they won it last night. They won it last night, and they got the first goal. Interestingly enough, in the only regular season game of Vancouver, they also won the first period. So they have a history so far of winning the first period, and a history of not winning the games. In that game back in Vancouver, they won the first period, but they lost the second and third. Last night they were 1-1-1. They won the first, they tied the second, and they lost the third. When they get the first goal in the first period on the road this season, they were 16-5-1. When they win the first period, they were 13-3-1. So getting the first goal, winning the first period, tying the second period. That was still, pretty good. When previously in the regular season, when they win the first period and tie the second, they were 3-0. Not a huge data set, but that's good. Win the first period, tie the second. Those of you who have listened to the show more than half a second know that my big issue with the Preds, which is why I started doing this data collection for myself, the issue that I had was that I felt like in the second period, especially at home, the Preds did not play very well. It looks like, on the road, they play better. It's shown that that's the case. When looking at the third period, when they lose the third period on the road, they're 3-10-2 going into it. So on the road, when they lose the third period, usually they're not doing so well. And again, the 3 games that they were winning, they were 1-1-1 when they lost the third period. So they were winning the game last night when they came into the third period, lost the third period, and then they lost the game. When they lose the third period on the road, they are 1-13-1. So I think, we can take a look at last night's game and say they got off to a very good start. It was a tough game. It looked very back and forth. Vancouver did look very good, and I thought the Preds coming out of the first period with a win was great. I thought they really kind of withstood the storm, so to speak, and then the second period happened and they tied. So again, that looks kind of strong. And then third period comes around and Vancouver was on their game, and the Preds weren't, at least as much, right? So anyhow, I guess takeaways are that they did change some of the mojo or that they had against Vancouver in the previous 3 games. Again, the first time that they got the first goal, that they did not lose the second period. In the other 3 games, they lost the second period, all 3 games. And then they did push Vancouver into the third period. So, lots of good stuff going on there. The big takeaway, they got to score more than 2 goals. They haven't done that against Vancouver this season. 4 games, again, not a huge data set, but 4 games, 2 goals each. And interestingly enough, Vancouver averages more than 2 because, they've won them all. Anyhow, that's your playoff update. Going to keep it short today. Since all we're doing is talking about last night's goal and kind of giving a quick update. Things are on track in the playoffs, and there are more games tonight, including 2 in the Western Conference. The 2 series that haven't started have their series debut tonight, and I think there's 2 games in the Eastern Conference that are also today. A little nitpick. The East Coast games were nice and early yesterday, and the Preds game got started at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. All the media had gone to bed. I'm sure. Anyway, that's a different podcast. The one's coming up on the bias against Western Conference teams when they come to giving awards, unless they're giving it to Connor McDavid. So, anyway, that's where we're at. The next game for the Preds is tomorrow night, the 24th. And then they play here. I'm not calling it off on my right away, but so hopefully the Preds will pick up with a win in the next one, rectify the ship. They played well last night. There's a lot good to take away from. Now that they're in Vancouver and they're not traveling, they can get their schedules down. I think the game is, no, that's Sunday. Yeah, the games are Friday, Sunday here. Sunday's game is at 5, so 7:30 on Friday, and then 5 o'clock on Sunday. So Friday, so yeah, but this is Monday. So tomorrow night is the next game. I'm sorry I'd be rambling. Anyhow, the game will probably be late tomorrow night. They are in Vancouver in the Pacific time zone. So the Preds did play well last night, hoping to get some momentum. First game, all of the home teams won the first round. Not unexpected. They are the higher seeds playing at home. So that's not a bad thing to have lost the first game, but they did play well. So there's a lot of positive things to take away from that. Hopefully the Preds will get one in Vancouver. That'll shift the focus and shift the mojo, and then they'll come back here to Nashville, and they'll be here in Nashville on Friday. Anyway, have a great day, and I will talk to you after the next Preds game. Thanks for listening. I'm Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.